CNN and MS Now are losing their minds as their viewers are choosing to take a side they never thought would happen. Massive support for the Save America voter ID law is forcing CNN and MS Now to do things that are leaving many in disbelief and saying, somehow, they're telling the truth? Hello, folks. Welcome back to the channel that continues to give you the info you need to know to understand what's happening in entertainment and the news divisions that operate within those entertainment companies. Today, we'll do just exactly that same thing, bringing you honesty and truth with a capital T. As we dive in, click the like button, drop a comment down below, let us know your thoughts. And folks, let's talk about the proposed legislation everybody loves. They call it Save America. CNN and MS Now not having a good time because they're reporting on something that somehow is opposite of what they believed America believed. The narrative, it is shifting under them as even their constituencies want voter ID. Let's talk about it right now. Folks, we're not here to talk about the politics of it, although I gotta say it seems rather, obvious that if you're gonna do something that requires you to be who you say you are, you produce an ID. Cool, everybody's got one. Eric Darty says, holy crapified. MS Now just stunnified Chuck Schumer by admitting 71% of Democrats want to pass nationwide voter ID. 71% of Democrats. But folks, again, we're not here for the politics. We're here for the fact that they're having to cover this. Here's how it's covered on MS Now.
There's a new Pew Research poll that 95% of Republicans, but also 71% of Democrats like this idea. So why do you not?
It's Jim Crow 2.0. And I called it Jim Crow 2.0, and the right wing went nuts all over the internet. That's because they know it's true. What they're trying to do here is the same thing that was done in the South for decades to prevent people of color from voting.
Which would explain, if that's the case, why Democrats, now I can't make that joke, but you know who was in charge in the South back then. 71% of Democrats, 95% of Republicans. Why is Schumer on MS Now talking about this? Because somehow they got to get this changed. They got to get this shifted. And guess what, ladies and gentlemen? If you thought it was just MS Now, think again. Here's CNN covering the exact same thing.
I mean, just take a look here. Favorite photo ID to vote. You got 95% of Republicans, pretty much all of them, but even 71% of Democrats favor photo ID to vote. So again, Nicki Minaj posting that on X, and what you see is that the American people, actually, it's not really all that controversial. The American people are with Nicki Minaj, whether they are Republican or even if they are Democrats. We're talking about 7 in 10 Democrats agreeing with Nicki Minaj that you, in fact, should show a photo ID to vote.
What's the racial breakdown?
Okay, what's the racial breakdown on this, right? Because I think a lot of people make the argument that people of color, non-white Americans, have a harder time procuring a photo ID to vote. But even here, take a look here, favorite photo ID to vote. 85% of white people favor it, 82% of Latino, 76% of black Americans favor it. So the bottom line is this: voter ID is not controversial in this country.
Stop. That's what we need to say. And here's why. If you're wondering why in the world CNN and MS Now are admitting this, even as the politicos come on and try to say this Jim Crow 2.0, it's because of the stats you see on the screen right now. Yep. And one thing that you can know for sure is that when it comes to the demo, when it comes to the constituencies that watch the cable channels, they cannot go against them to this degree. This is more than an 80-20 situation, more than an 80-20 scenario. And that means that, sorry to Schumer and AOC and everybody else who wants to see this go away, but even CNN and MS Now are forced to cover this in a positive way because their viewers view this the same way that you see on the screen. Culture, I'll go to you first. This is fascinating for me because we're watching CNN and MS Now absolutely unable to carry the water in the way that they typically do, simply because of how popular this is. And the popularity of this really matters because once you do voter ID, this changes everything, not only for elections, but also it begins to wash away some of the lies and the misleadings that have been happening all across entertainment and news organizations who want you to believe that you're in the minority oftentimes when in fact you're in the supermajority. Your thoughts, Culture?
Yeah, I think that the lies that have been pushed for so long about the racial segregation we've had in this country, we defeated that a long time ago. I was in school, in high school, when that had been essentially completely wiped out. We had to reinvent this divide. We did it under a particular president I'm not going to speak about. And what's conveniently forgotten about Jim Crow was the fact that he was a Democrat in the South that was pushing for segregation or resegregation after Reconstruction. And that, again, the Democrats can never escape their past. They continue to try, but they never reform. And the idea that people can't get an ID, are you telling me people don't, under normal laws, can't get a driver's license? There's a reason why they signed a bunch of laws into effect that everybody can get a driver's license in certain states, including illegals. But we'll set all that aside for now. Nothing, you're right. They're washing away, and what has been washed away is the divide in this country over the idea that we should have secure elections that we can believe in. And in order to do that, having a proper way to identify yourself, much like you have to do at the bank, or at, any event that you attend, or, when you're stopped by a police officer, for a traffic infraction or any number of other things, you have to produce ID. If you want to get on a plane, you can't go without producing an ID. And in order to get a passport, you're producing 2 or 3 IDs. So the argument that people, if they want to vote, they're hard pressed to get an ID. Not just, interviews on the street that have been done over the course of time to disprove this nonsense, or the fact that, people of different races can't use computers, has been disproven hundreds of times. So this is a bad look, and it does harm the credibility of these news organizations for continuing to push this nonsense.
By the way, we're watching video right now of President Obama, when he was president, providing his ID as president because it was required law. This has changed. This has shifted, of course. And so now we're trying to pretend that this is somehow Jim Crow 2.0. The problem for them, the reason the cable channels can't carry the water is this. This is the reason, folks. The 71% on the Democrat side means that the cable channels, and we need to explain this because I need you to understand what's going on here, because we come on this channel and we cover from the vantage point of why do the cable channels operate the way they do, right? And we talk about Rachel Maddow and all this stuff. So why are they suddenly deviating from the typical plan? Why are they telling the truth? And that is because they have been unable, through every effort to convince voters to change, to shift, and they can't go against their viewers to the point that the viewers stop watching. That's not possible. And that's why, if this doesn't pass, nothing can pass, given the stats. Jonas, Ron, your thoughts?
I think it's an amazing thing to watch a bunch of white elites say that black people are incapable of doing something that they can do. I think that's, what's the word for that?
Racist.
Racism.
Racist, he says. Racist. Ron, your thoughts on this all coming down to viewership, though. They don't want to lose the viewers on this. They don't want to lose these people to go watch Fox News to hear about the Save America Act.
I mean, of course they don't want to lose viewers. They have to. They're forced, at least on some things, to where they have to tell the truth. This was not just a statistic. This was a vast majority. I mean, it just shows that those who are, and I don't think they showed the other side of it, whether that smaller percentage was completely against, or whether there was also part of that smaller percentage was, and I don't know. But regardless of that, this is very clear. The vast majority wants ID for, voter ID. You know why? Like they were saying, I went to sell some old toys at Once Upon a Child yesterday. You know what the first thing they ask you for is when you do that? Your ID, your driver's license. This is literally how they check you in and check you out. So it doesn't really matter what it is. This makes sense. The statistic makes sense because literally everything requires an ID, not necessarily a driver's license. There is a legal state ID that you can get without a driver's license. So there's that available as well. But it's, this is CNN, this is MSNOW, which are they even relevant in the conversation about news anymore?
Well, they're trying to be, Ron. They're trying to be. That's why they can't report this the way they typically do. And that's why we're doing this segment. The story is because people are watching this and saying, wait a minute, why are they doing it this way? They never do it this way. It's because the results are so significantly against the way that they would typically go. They can't lose the viewers on this one. It's too popular.
Wasn't on Maddow's show, was it?
Oh, that's not. They're going to try to spin it. They're going to try to spin it. But the bottom line is, if they go out against this stuff, they're going to lose too many viewers. They're going to lose too many ratings, and they can't touch it. So even if the left-wing politicos want them to do what they're told, not going to work this time. America wants voter ID. In terms of how we cover that, we're just here to tell you, it's so popular that even CNN and MS Now can no longer run away from saying, yep, this is what the US of A wants to see now. Put this baby to bed. This video is over. Turn off the lights, but not quite yet, folks, because we do ask one final thing before we say goodbye, and that is, would you consider clicking the like button, share, subscribe, click it and stick it to those algorithms. It is the notification bell, and drop a comment down below. Also greatly appreciated, anytime you would like to share this out on your favorite social media platforms, well, we would love that. And we'd also love to hear your thoughts. Folks, drop a comment down below and use that beautiful mind of yours. If you would not mind, we'd love to know what you're thinking. Also, if you would like to become a member of the channel, it's as simple as clicking the join button. It is the price of a soda per month, and you'll gain access to all kinds of new, cool, exclusive information. Folks, until the next time we have the honor of spending time with you, keep learning, keep growing, and as always, keep having fun.